Woo-hoo. Oh, it is very bent. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today's episode is a bit of a break from the normal stuff that we do. This is an N55 engine from my 2016 435 6-speed manual. It's got 196,000 kilometers on it. However, somebody decided to finish this one off pretty quickly. Insert clip here, editor. Thank you. Basically what happened is this engine went for a swim in a puddle, sucked up some water, and well, it bent some rods. So down compression on cylinder 3. There was some metal shavings in the oil filter. There was metal shavings in the pan because we took that off already. And yeah, she's definitely pooched. So we're gonna take it apart today, see how bad the damage is, see if there's anything salvageable, and we'll go from there. Some things of note: for 196,000, the valves are very uncarboned up. You can see that there's not a lot of carbon sludge on there. They are completely steam cleaned. So, and you can definitely see moisture, rust in there. I know for a fact that these two pistons are okay. We checked the compression on them. They were pretty close to 200, I think. This piston here was low on compression. It was about 120 PSI. And this piston I think was okay. This piston, we also did the test to see how far it comes up to the top of the bore, and it was significantly lower than the other pistons over here. These two we didn't check. There was the cowls in the way, so we don't know how those are gonna look, but I guess we'll cross the bridge when we get there. Another thing to mention is when we dropped the pan of this engine, we found an oil squirter in the pan. So one of those got knocked off. So definitely something's bent pretty bad. So we're gonna start with the plugs, then we're gonna do the oil filter, and then we're gonna inspect these Vanos adjusters over here for metal shavings. Yeah, pretty nasty, grungy looking plugs. Nothing too terrible, nothing's like completely smashed up. I think this one I changed that at one point just to test something. This one's very black by comparison to the other ones, it looks. So could have definitely been something going on there, low compression or burning oil. Inside you can see pretty dark, nasty oil. You can see some flakes of copper over there at the base of that. There you go. So you can see that oil definitely has some metallic sort of flakes in there. I'm gonna zoom in, see if you can catch that.
Just like all that shimmery stuff.
Yeah, this stuff over here. Just see chunks in there. Next thing is we're gonna move on to the Vanos adjuster so we can just see how much metal is in here. 10 mil 1, 10 mil 2. there's one. And honestly, doesn't look like there's too much metal in there. This one, same story. Not too much metal. There's a couple fragments over there, but not like it's glitter bonanza. Damn it. I gotta take this harness off. Okay, we got one more. Gotta take this off, and then we can do that. Okay, there's the harness. This guy we may need to pull up as well. This guy's a twist, lift. Start. Look at that. Okay, so we got the head or valve cover off. So inside, I don't see anything too far gone, nothing too bad. I do see some scoring on some of these rollers over here. So there's some scoring over there. The cams have a little bit of scratching as well going on over there. So some abuse for sure. Otherwise, the chain, let's just see the tension on that. Very tight. So nothing really bad happened there. Right now, we're gonna move on to these crowns. I think that's what they're called. There's 2 T30 bolts per crown. You need to have the injectors removed to get to this part. Okay. One-time use metal gaskets, straight to the garbage. There's your eccentric motor, the eccentric shaft. This tends to strip on the teeth over here, same with this. And this will give you that sort of clicking noise. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to remove the bolts on the front and basically see if we can eliminate, maybe we'll take off the tensioner, remove some of the tension off of this, and take these adjusters on the front of the engine off. We should have some slack in the chain, which is still remarkably really tight. That's good for it. Yeah, this front main seal is a little bit weepy. Interesting. And this is going to be a part of our timing cassette. We also have another one up here. This also gives us access to a timing cassette screw. And we also got 2 more there. So we're gonna take off all the timing cassette screws, and that should loosen this up a bit, give us access or the ability to remove this. No, definitely on 15.
What if you just get the 15 and hollow it out a little bit?
Perfect idea, Tom. You're a man of astounding genius.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius. Real Men of Genius.
Definitely a bolt that gets tortilled. Now the cassette screws. Okay, I'm starting to loosen up a bit. Maybe we can take this out. Actually, no, it does clip in at the bottom there. A bit overkill for this job, but there we go. There we go. It's off. With a 4mm Allen, we're going to turn the eccentric motor so that we can access one of the head bolts. We're also going to need to remove this oil feed line. So we've got the eccentric shaft into position so that we can access the head bolt over there. The only thing that's left in our way is this little oil squirter here. So we're going to unscrew that. And yeah, we basically have it locked in with the Allen key pressed up against this motor. I'm not going to take the whole thing apart. Just don't see a need to do so for now. All these bolts are one-time use. I took that one out, but apparently not. That's good for it. I did take those out, so I find it very strange that that's what it is. There's actually another bolt that I missed too, I think, over here. So I'm gonna take that one out. here. And maybe that. Chains inside. N55.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, and here's your head gasket. So we're gonna do the delete, put it back together, and call it a Subaru.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, buddy. This is what you call an open deck design. So it's not the strongest, but overall, if you look, the bores look really nice, not scored up. This one as well, not scored, not scored. You can still see nice cross hatching, not too much rust, which is nice. So notice that one of these things is not like the other. The engine works sort of with two pistons at the same point in the, well, opposite points of the cycle, but basically same height. So these two are the same height, should be in theory. These two should be in the same height, and these two should be in the same height. But if you look closely, this one is lower than this one, like we initially diagnosed that cylinder 3 is bad. Like I said, this has already been off. Okay, I think that was all of them. Oh, no, there's one more somewhere. Let's play a little game. Spot the bolt. Sounds great. Did I leave another bolt? Are you kidding me?
What'd you do?
Well, we bolted the engine to the oil pan. So yeah, we got the oil pan off.
No issues at all.
Nope.
It was first try. We did not mount the engine block with the oil pan.
Nope. We're never there. Just struggling this a little bit.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah. Okay. Into this
Nice
container
soup.
here. Yeah. Bolt soup.
Just like Grandma used to make.
So yeah, we're holding basically the engine on 3 screws right now. It's an aluminum block, so it should be okay.
Actually, now we're gonna see it on the ground.
And let's see. So this one's at the top. This one also seems to be at the very tippy top. Now let's see the other ones. So 2 and 5, I felt that resistance there. Okay. This one looks like it's top and top, so we're good. And now the funny piston. Good, 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 good. So none of them are knocking. No spun bearings. So now let's flip the engine over and start disassembling the bottom. Oh yeah, make a mess in the floor. Yeah, that one actually. So as you can see, we've already been here before. This is a X-Drive oil sump pickup tube. None of the screws were in there. Whenever you're servicing one of these and doing rod bearings or anything like that, you want to replace this because it's plastic, they like to break, and there's a little seal at the end there. Is the persuading? How you doing? Let's have a little chat. Did you say something? Sorry, dear. See a little look down there. So you can see there's an oil squirter there. And this one, there's an oil squirter right there. There's one on every other piston basically. But this one here is actually torn off, it's missing. Bit of a problem. When we spin this, there was always that one spot that got stuck. Looks like right there we've got a problem. So the piston basically rocks against the counterbalance shaft of the crank. So when I spin it, basically, yeah, it knocks right there. Let's see on the counterbalance. You can see just a little bit right there where it basically, it looks like it's scraping. Perfect bearing, like literally perfect. Okay, there's a piston, feels really good. Bit of wear on the skirt there, same with this one, but the rings are nice and free. So really nice. Rod looks fairly straight. Nice bearing. And this one as well, number 5. Decent bearing. Still possibly savable. I gotta take this crank to a machine shop and basically have them inspect it. This one has a bit of scratching going on. Not too bad. This one, there's a little bit of a scratch there, nothing too major. Again, a little bit of discoloration in the middle. Starting to get into the second layer maybe. How's this one? Looks very nice. It looks very nice. Would be nice if number 3 was also nice. Number 4. So some strange scratch marks here. I don't know if that's from me just taking it out right now. But you can see a couple right there. It's not just a shimmer, it is a scratch of some sort. And for our final contestant, cylinder number 3. Much awaited. Nice scoring mark right in the middle. Woo. See that? Very unhappy. Okay, and you can see through the copper there. The crank kind of feels like there's a mark there. It's not that crazy, but it is bent in an interesting way. Woo-hoo. Oh, it is very bent. Wow. Look at that.
Bendy, and the little voice said, "Don't do it, Michael." And I said, "No, but I want to." Bendy, Bendy, don't do it, Michael. I went, "No, I want to." Bendy, Bendy, Michael, don't do it, Bendy.
Oy.
That's impressive. Wow. So you can see over here where it was rubbing on the crank. That's your knocking noise. Tuck, 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 tuck. Okay.
I really like how you're holding it as if you caught like a prized fish.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is freaking hilarious.
So out of the 6, one of them's acting up. We're not sure which one.
All right, so off camera, I finished disassembling the engine. Here's basically how I've got it now. The bed plate is off, just the crank inside. It's basically to store the crank. Didn't end up taking off that vacuum pump. And I found some interesting things. So first off, I was curious about knowing if the crank is straight. And we did some measurements, like you'll see here. Not the most accurate, but give or take, the crank is still within BMW straightness tolerance. I think the maximum permissible amount for an N55 is 6 thou of an inch out. This one in one particular spot on one journal was, I believe, 2 thou out. So still well within the spec. So it's a usable crank. However, when I went to go try and reassemble this block, I had an interesting phenomenon. So watch this. So the crank right now, without the bed plate, spins relatively easily. Not too much of a fuss. No problems. But watch what happens when I put the bed plate on. Now that the bed plate is back on, not even screwed down a little bit, it takes so much force. The crank basically gets stuck. It doesn't want to spin as freely anymore. And then once you bolt it down, it's basically impossible to move, which is very strange because we never really had an issue with the crank being able to turn over. The engine always turned over. It ran. So it's very strange that once we took it all apart and we put it back together, now when I put it back together, it doesn't want to turn anymore. If I remove a few of the bearings out of the bed plate and block, then the crank spins no problem. So somewhere the there's basically an imbalance between the bed plate and the block, and it's basically causing a resistance. It's not lining up properly. When you put the crank on the bed plate, the crank cannot spin at all. It basically gets stuck, and you can actually lift up the whole bed plate with the crank. So something is wrong and twisted with the bed plate, even though the crank itself is all good. Remember, without the bed plate, the crankshaft can still spin. What's also quite interesting is that the bed plate does not sit flush with the head. Primarily on this axis here, you'll notice that it actually rocks. So if I go like this, you hear that? It doesn't quite sit flat. If I rock it here, nothing. So it's not on the actual journals where it's like bent, but it seems like it's like flat, and then it kind of comes up like that on this sort of axis here. Hear it rocking like this diagonally. This way is actually more pronounced. So there's something going on there for sure. And it's not like it's the crank that's causing it, because it does it also without the crank. I'll show you right now. So now we've got no crank installed. The filling ports for the sealant right there are not present on this one too, as you can see right there. We still have the same issue where the block has some wiggle. So one of two things happened here, I think. Either the bed plate twisted during the incident, and while it was still under tension from all the bolts, it was still good. And once I released it, it basically took its shape, and now it can't come back to what it was. Or I removed these bolts in the wrong order, and I maybe messed up the bed plate. This would probably need to be line bored and fixed up in order to make this whole thing work. And then new bearings, main bearings used. None of the main bearings were too beat up. There was some signs of wear on them, but it wasn't anything like out of this world, like totally gone into copper or anything like that. So very strange that it's happened like this. And the reason why I haven't really done too much with this block at this point is because the cost to purchase just all the parts, all the screws, bolts, seals, gaskets, by the time you're all said and done, you're looking basically the price of a used engine, and there's no point of rebuilding this. So we're kind of stuck here with this stuff here. I don't want to throw it out because the crank is still good, but once you also consider the fact that you still need a bed plate, this engine will never go back together the way it is. It doesn't make financial sense to put this thing back together at this point. If you're still watching this video, I would like to thank you for tuning in. It really means a lot to me. If you got a second, drop a thumbs up, really helps the channel. And if you got any comments, questions, something you didn't like, something that you liked, please do so in the comments down below. And we'll catch you in the next video.